Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to another one of my Shujuku videos for you guys today. And today we're going to be talking about the banner that is replacing Ludwig. She actually might be running as of you watching this video, depending on when you watch this. But this unit is going to be Politis. Now she will run alongside Abigail, another fire unit who will be running for an extra week actually with Politis because of the fact that she is a new unit. Politis will only run for 1 week total. Now this unit, guys, extremely powerful for PvP. If you don't have her, she's kind of a must-have because of the fact that she counters a lot of meta units, and she is just really good at stopping cleavers. So to understand why she's so good against AoE and cleavers, let's actually look at her skills very quickly. Her S3 is an AoE attack that actually has a 100% chance at maximal Agora at +4 to actually decrease hit chance and also inflict unbuffable for 2 turns. Now if you guys play this game long enough, you would understand that these debuffs in PvP, they are so annoying, especially cannot buff, because, you know, a lot of units have passives that can't activate with this, like, for example, Valencia's S2 and stuff like that, which makes it super annoying unless it gets cleansed off. The animation on this is pretty cool as well. Nothing too crazy though, because this unit's kind of old. She's a unit from episode 3, I believe. She's the main character. So her animations aren't as updated as, you know, the units coming out right now, but it still looks pretty decent as well, because, you know, this is Epic 7. The animations are kind of a big point in this game, right? Next, we have Astral Guide. This is her S2. It actually has 2 parts. So the first part is when she is alive, you will reduce the effect of combat readiness gains by 50% on the enemy side. The second part will be that when an enemy uses a non-attack skill, you'll activate Tranquility, which can be activated once every 2 turns, AoE attack that will decrease buff durations by 1 turn, and also CR push yourself by 30%. So a common combo is you kind of pick her at like 240 speed into a unit that has a non-attack skill that opens, such as like Angel of Light, or even just anything, to be honest, that has a non-attack skill, like Maid Chloe and stuff like that, depending on what you're against. Even like Meteor Cowrick, right? There's a lot of CR pushers like Amelia as well that she can cut. And basically, she uses this S2 to deal a lot of damage, decrease buff durations, CR push herself by 30%, which at 240 speed, she'll actually cut pretty much everyone. Then you S3 right after, right, and do a ton of damage. Her S3 and S2 do crazy amounts of damage if you put her on a very high damage build. And it makes it so that she can counter cleave like this, because there are a ton of cleavers with non-attack skills, right? You have like Moon Bunny Dominion and stuff like that. You have like Amelia, Mid, stuff like that. So she cuts that down pretty easily with her S2, S3 damage combo. And just keep in mind, she also puts that unbuffable and decreased hit chance, which makes it so that, you know, the enemy side can't really do a lot of damage and can't get attack buffs. And usually cleave teams don't really have cleansing, so if they get hit by this, usually it's just GG. Next, we have our S1, single target attack, pretty simple, 40% chance to stun at maximal Agora at +4. This actually procs pretty often. If you have Abyssal Crown, it will proc more often than not, right? It'll go up to, I believe, 64%. And the fact that you can soul burn this for 20 souls means that if you put her on like a book, you actually have 2 chances at this as well. So it really depends on your playstyle. Abyssal Crown is more better, in my opinion, for like a very tanky, effectiveness heavy build, which some people run to solely counter cleave. But if you run her on a damage build, you might want to run her on book, because just having 2 extra turns is very nice, because if you actually soul burn her S1, you actually reset the cooldown on her S2 right away, because it's only a 2-turn cooldown. It's a pretty cool unit, very good against non-attack skill units. Just keep in mind there's some units she doesn't do well against, because her S2 isn't really a full dispel or strip. It's only a buff duration decrease by 1 turn. So units like Ran, who actually have 2-turn immunities and like 2-turn attack buffs, don't really get affected by this as much. So you really want to make sure that you bring her into the right units. She's good against most non-attack skill units, right? Even like Angel of Light, because of how her S3 and S2 will trigger Politis' S2. She's a common pick against that unit. Politis, guys, very powerful unit. I think she is definitely a unit worth pulling for, because, you know, like I said, she's very good against cleave. And honestly, you can use her as a cleaver as well, because her S2 is very powerful in terms of damage, like I said like a million times, and same with her S3. And because of the fact that a lot of units that counter cleave actually have a lot of non-attack skills, right? You have like Maid Chloe, which can res, you have like Destina, Ruana, even like Conquer Lias, anything that can speed contest you, like a Peyra even, who doesn't have that immunity buff. She can actually get countered pretty hard by stuff like Politis because of her S2 dealing a lot of damage and the fact that she can cut, right? So keep in mind, she's very good for cleave and against cleave, so I definitely recommend, if you're into PvP and you either like to cleave or you're struggling against cleavers, to actually pick her up from this week's banner. Now we have her artifact, guys. This one is pretty simple. So basically how this works is if you die while holding this artifact, you will grant all your allies a random buff for 2 turns. You can see the list of buffs here. It goes from like greater attack buff or Gab, increased defense, increased evasion, immunity, or critical hit resistance. But there is a chance of this happening, and if you don't have this maxed out, it's not 100%. So not really worth wasting an entire artifact slot on this, especially when you can run just like a 20 soul book, right? Which is just so much better a lot of the times, because there's just too much RNG involved. even if this is maxed out, it's hard to kind of justify this because Politis is so good on Abyssal Crown, because she has 2 ways to activate it through AoE that can activate on the same turn. And even like Tagal's Ancient Book is very good on her as well because of her Soul Burn on her S1, and souls are just always good. So this artifact, guys, I think this is an easy skip. If you happen to have a max copy of it, I say go for it, but to be honest, the chances of you having that are very, very low. So definitely don't even recommend, you know, getting this artifact from the Powder of Knowledge shop. Overall though, guys, if you guys are looking for a fun unit that can counter cleave and can cleave, Politis is a good answer. Just keep in mind that we actually do have most likely summer units coming up. You know, we have like Seaside Bologna and Holiday Euphine, who I predict will run this year. And because they did buff Summer Break Charlotte, some of you guys were saying in my last video talking about the summer units, it is a very high chance she runs as well, because usually units that get buffed will run again pretty soon, especially if they're limited or even like limited to a season, because otherwise people will cry for an entire year. Because like what if Summer Break Charlotte just becomes like super meta and they don't rerun it, right? Then people are just gonna cry about it. So I would too, honestly. So it would not make any sense not to actually rerun her. I don't even know where my Summer Break Charlotte is, but she's somewhere here. But yeah, definitely a unit that you want to oh, here she is. Yeah, definitely a unit that you want to have in your arsenal. However, if you're super low on bookmarks and you don't think you can get any by the time these units run, which will be in like a month or 2, then you might want to skip out on it because the limiteds are worth a little bit more. That being said, I hope this video helped you guys out, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.